welcome back, finally, to a new Wings of Fire review. I am here with Avalon.
Hi, everybody.
And we are here to review the Hive Queen.
At long last.
long last. I know you all have been asking about this review, and we are sorry it took so long. But we just had a whole bunch of life stuff get in the way. We went on a vacation together, actually, and that was awesome. And you can hear our thoughts about that vacation real soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time like the vacation was.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, when they release, because the schedule for these, one of them comes out right on the holiday season, like it comes out the day after Christmas. So that's really busy. And then February and January for me tend to be really busy. And the timing of this couldn't have been worse for this book to come out.
Yeah, do we know yet when the next book is going to be released?
Sometime in the summer, I think. And for those of you who are worried about if we're going to review Poison Jungle or not, we will sometime after it comes out, eventually.
Is that the name of the next book, Poison Jungle?
Yes, and the cover is gorgeous. I'm so glad that I decided to make my dragon a leafwing.
Yes. Yeah,
It's
the cover's beautiful. So anyway, we're here with Hive Queen. Sorry it took so long. We promise that, well, I promise now, future me might regret this promise, but I feel fairly confident that when Poison Jungle comes out, we'll probably be getting to it much quicker.
Yeah, not sure about the fourth one, because if the fourth one comes out in December again, sorry.
Yeah, it might be the same old song and dance here. End and beginning of the year is just always really busy. So anyway, let's not beat around the bush anymore. Let's talk about the Hive Queen. What are your initial thoughts on this book?
Hive Queen watered my crops, cleared my skin, materialized $50 into my bank account. It was everything, all of the concerns that I had with The Lost Continent, because if you go back and watch our Lost Continent review, I was kind of, a little bit not thrilled with how some things were presented. This just completely destroyed all of those concerns that I had, addressed everything exactly how I would have wanted it to be addressed. This is another one that I think should be taught in schools. I think this is almost as good as Darkstalker.
Wow.
I really like it.
That is some high praise.
I mean, there's so much serious content and serious discussion going on, but it's presented in a way that kids can easily absorb it. Mm-hmm. And that's very difficult to do, and I think this does it really well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but for me, I would say that this book didn't leave that big of an impact for me. Like, maybe I just need to reread it, and reread the first two books back to back, but I feel like this one didn't leave as big of an impact on me as the first book did. I thought it was good. I really liked it. And I read through it almost just as quickly, but it didn't have as many like, oh, wow, I wonder where this is gonna go moments for me. It felt like I was always kind of waiting for the next thing to happen, but in a like, all right, let's pick up the pace here, because I kind of already know what these plot points are gonna be. I'm ready for something I'm not expecting.
I will agree with that. I think that the first half of this book is a little bit slower than we're used to seeing in the series. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of a lot more subtle in ways than some of the other books are. Mm-hmm. And that, as far as pacing goes, can be a detriment to it. I think that for what it's trying to accomplish, it's kind of necessary, but it is a little bit different in that way, and I could see not everyone liking that.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I'm really happy with the direction that the Lost Continent arc is going. And I'm excited to see where Poison Jungle picks up, because I think Poison Jungle is finally going to get to the stuff that I'm most curious about.
Yeah, I've noticed that the third books of Wings of Fire arcs tend to be where the plot like actually starts rolling. Mm-hmm. Like, for Hidden Kingdom, that's where we find out what's really going on with the Nightwings and all that stuff. And Escaping Peril is when Darkstalker breaks out, and then we're like, okay, this is what the rest of this arc is going to be. So I think Poison Jungle will probably do the same thing, where it's like, okay, we've got our setup 2 books, and now here's where the rest of the story's going.
Yeah, like, this is a very standard second book of Wings of Fire.
Yeah, this is like character study and setting up some world building.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, if you haven't picked up this book yet, it's out, and if you're into Wings of Fire, you should go get it and read it, because it was really good. And I think that's probably as non-spoiler as we can be without talking spoilers, so do we want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to go right into it, because, I mean, there's so little of this book that isn't spoiler.
Yeah, it's like, I really don't want to go over any plot points, because I don't want to spoil what's going on. So, yeah. Here's your spoiler warning. If you haven't finished the book yet, go finish the book, and then come back and listen to the rest of this. Let's get into this.
You can be like me and be a naughty spoiler gremlin. I just love the term naughty spoiler gremlin. You've ruined me.
I'm glad it's a thing.
Okay, so let's talk about I guess one of the more controversial things that I've seen as far as the fandom reaction to this. Katydid being Cricket's mom.
Okay, cool. I'm glad this is kind of a controversial thing. Where do you find these fandom reactions? Because I feel like I just hear static silence when it comes to a Wings of Fire book. I'm not following the right people.
I make the mistake of going on the Tumblr tag. And, I mean, it's a Tumblr tag, so, it's got its fair share of burning dumpster fires.
Of ice-cold takes?
Yeah, but there do come some good posts in there, like, some people have some really interesting theories and interpretations, so I actually do think that it's worth it.
All right,
even though you gotta deal sometimes with, like, the Tumblr crazy.
I want to hear the candid tea. What?
Well, first and foremost, people are comparing it to Andy Mack all over the place. I guess that's a Disney Channel show where, like, a girl finds out that her sister is actually her mom.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know. Disney did that.
Disney
I've never
did
seen
that.
Andy Mack. I think that might also be the show where they, like, had a character come out as gay on screen, so good for them.
Okay.
I don't watch Disney Channel. I don't know what these shows are, so
yeah.
I know that Disney had a show where a character came out as gay on screen, so that's cool. But
I'm pretty sure then that's probably the show that, like, a couple weeks ago everyone was going, like, Disney did that.
Yeah, that was that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't really know how to feel about it, and I see a lot of people being like, I don't know, I don't see very many people being like, oh, that was a really good twist, as much as people are like, that's kind of weird. Most people just seem to think that this is maybe a setup that we're going to meet Malachite, who is Cricket's father, later on. Because it really plays more into Scarab's backstory than anyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like, okay, I guess that explains why Cricket's parents/grandparents are so horrible to her, but also kind of doesn't, because why would they even tolerate them being there if they are so against this?
Mm-hmm. My whole thing with that reveal is that I didn't really feel one way or another about this, because we didn't have a whole lot of personal hands-on experience with Cricket's family life other than what she's remembering.
Yeah.
I feel like this would have made a much more impactful twist if maybe instead of the prologue we got in this book, maybe instead we got a prologue of a flashback, of more of her times growing up. Similar to how Winter Turning started, with getting a flashback about Winter and his brother and his family. If we got something like that for Candid and Cricket, that probably would have been a bigger punch.
Yeah, something, because, like, we've heard her mention Katydid a few times, and we know that she's the only member of her family that she likes. So this, like, totally rocks Cricket's world, and is the reason why she's immune to Queen Wasp's mind control, which we'll get to that in a second, because I'm really happy with how that was handled. But the Katydid twist overall seems like probably the weakest part of the book for me. Like, I don't think it's bad, I just don't think it's anything else.
I would have... It was one of those twists where it's like I wanted to feel more about it than I did.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but... Shrug.
But I don't really know Katydid. So...
I feel like this is kind of meant to show that Queen Wasp's rules affect the Hive Wings negatively as well, because, you know, this whole thing is just, A, her getting back at Scarab, and B, her deciding who gets to marry who, basically. And I don't know if they get to decide with the Hive Wings or just the Silk Wings. It seems like maybe there's something going on with, like, class system or something in the Hive Wing tribe. I don't know.
I do know I want to know all the details about the relationship between Queen Wasp and Lady Scarab.
Yeah, and I think they kind of go into that a little bit, because it looks like what happened was they've been using the Book of Clearsight to decide who's going to be queen next, except it's all a lie. And Scarab was someone who could have been queen when Wasp was chosen, and probably should have been queen when Wasp was chosen, but because they had this lie going about the Book of Clearsight, they chose Wasp over her, and she's like, well, okay then. Because after she finds out that that whole line of succession thing is a lie, there's a quote in here where she says, okay, well, you know what that means. And then her daughter Jewel says that you could have been queen. And then Scarab says that you could still be queen.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a right of succession kind of plot going on there, where Scarab's really bitter about Wasp being a terrible dictator.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many comments about that Lady Scarab makes about, like, if Mother could see what you've done to our tribe. Which also just makes me think, like, how old is Lady Scarab and Queen Wasp? Like...
Pretty dang old, because I think that they were ruling during I think Wasp came to rule during the war.
Yeah, like, it's definitely implied.
The war wasn't that long ago, because there are older Hive Wings that were in it that are still alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, the war wasn't that long ago, but also it took place over, like... it still feels like it was really long ago, and I don't know if that's just because our characters are too young to remember it, but, like, the way it's talked about feels like it was a really long time ago, but dragons can also live for a really long time, so...
Well, they live for a long time, and they have shorter generational gaps than we do, because we're thinking in terms of, like, okay, a parent and a child has a good 20-year age difference. Dragons are, like, mature and can have kids when they're, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 years old.
Yeah.
And they live a long time, so there's probably... It feels longer because there's probably a lot more generations, but those generations aren't as far apart from each other.
That is true.
And I enjoy that. I like that they might be working kind of that biological aspect into the ways that it affects how time feels in the series, because I'm just a huge nerd for dragon biology.
Give me that deep lore.
Give me that good Cars lore. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We have in-jokes now, guys. Like, we have so many in-jokes.
We have inside jokes because we've hung out IRL.
It's cool. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the whole, going back to it, the Katydid Scarab connection, I like it. Like, I like more that Katydid is someone who kind of, through a friend of a friend, sort of knew Scarab, and that's why she's willing to help out Katydid so much. Or willing to help out Cricket.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is a bit of a tangent, but the whole Katydid, Lady Scarab, her having a kid and then needing to hide it, all felt very like Southern Black Plantation storyline to me.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm talking about, though?
Is sorta.
Like, I feel like, Katydid was like a house servant for the quote-unquote royalty of... I don't know, this whole...
I feel like it would have been more like that if one of the parents was a Silkwing.
Yeah.
Which is not the case. They're both Hive wings, but it's weird, and it's...
Like, it just gave me that vibe.
I enjoy what it does for Scarab's character, because it's like she constantly has to worry about being close to anybody because Wasp could take them away.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it feels more like it develops Scarab than Katie did.
Yeah.
But I like Scarab, so that's not really a complaint from me.
Yeah, I really like Lady Scarab. She was one of the characters...
a cool old lady.
She was one of the characters I was most interested in the first book, too, so I was glad to see her back.
She's the Yellow Fang of Wings of Fire.
Oh, please don't go the route of Yellow Fang, though.
No. Well, they don't really seem to do any dead characters coming back to guide the new ones, so thank you.
Bless.
Okay, so do we want to get into Cricket's immunity and what all that is?
Yeah.
Because holy Christ.
Yeah.
That was a swerve and a half, and I was like, wow, okay. I'm glad, actually, in hindsight, that Cricket isn't related to the royalty like I originally might have thought.
Well, yeah, like that's the original theory.
I was correct that her mom isn't who she thought her mom was, though, so...
Yes.
But yeah, so...
This twist is another one that I saw coming, like, pretty early on in the book. Well, and even, I don't know if I ever mentioned it in our last review, but I had been wondering, it's like, well, her name is Wasp. Is she, like, injecting them with some kind of mind control poison or something like that? But I just never could figure out, like, when or how. And so as soon as this book mentions, like, oh, Queen Wasp goes to check on the eggs, I'm like, oh, okay.
I had no clue that was coming.
That's where it happens.
Like, I guess I should have seen it because the prophecy says a secret hides within their eggs. I guess I just assumed that meant, like, are they really related to Clearsight or not? Because that's another thing that comes up again. Scarab says that Clearsight had 2 husbands, and her children from one went on to create the Hive Wings, and her children from the other went on to create the Silk Wings, which means the Silk Wings are also related to Clearsight, which is probably where the Flame Silk comes from. But also, that's not how genetics work. Like, one common ancestor 2,000 years ago isn't gonna still have their genes showing up in the offspring 2,000 years later.
Yeah,
I'm still hesitant to believe that any of this is correct because we still have the secret that's buried deep below the surface to uncover, and I feel like that still could be the origin of where the Hive Wings really came from. Because I know that this is what the books are saying, I just don't believe it.
Yeah, like, I'm still all for the theory that the Flame Silks are actually Clearsight's descendants, and the Hive Wings used to be underground dragons, and after the time of Clearsight, maybe Clearsight, like, found them and encouraged them up on the surface or something like that, and so, like, she, quote-unquote, adopted them. But, like, I totally believe that the Hive Wings used to live underground, and that's why there's all these cave systems underground, is because they were, like, tunneling and making hives under the ground.
Yeah, that makes the most sense, because they can't make their hives naturally above ground. They have to take the trees.
Yeah.
and like mulch them up and stuff. And okay, back to the cricket twist.
Okay.
That also explains why Wasp wanted to cut all the trees and like get rid of all the plants, because if they don't have access to the plant that she uses to create her mind control whatever, then they can't find an antidote for it either.
Mm-hmm.
So she's being really self-serving, and like queens and wings of fire tend to be.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, okay, this is like making more things make sense, and they don't say that, which I like. They're like kind of leaving these little breadcrumbs for people to pick up and figure out on their own, which is probably why I like this book so much, because it does a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the twist is, and I know you've all read the book, wink wink.
Naughty spoiler gremlins.
But the twist is that I guess Queen Wasp just eats a ton of this plant that's in her private nursery and then injects the eggs with it, but she has to do it twice for the full effect to get in, and so she's poisoning all of the hive wings so that they will be under her mind control later in life, and that's really interesting.
I really want to know how she found this out and like how she tested this.
I kind of feel like it would be horrifying, and I love it, because remember, like, they talk about that one older dragon who escaped and was like fighting it and trying to run away, but also kind of being mind controlled, and that sounds horrifying, and I'm betting that he was probably a test subject.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if part of the antidote to the mind control is just general, like the reason the hive wings are so susceptible to being controlled is because they're so ignorant about what's going on.
Yeah, like if they tried to fight it, could they?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing, and that's really, I think, what the bulk of the review is going to be, is talking about the themes of this book, because I really dig the themes of this book, and that's part of it. But yeah, it's just, but I do like that twist, though. I thought that was really interesting. In hindsight, I'm really glad that Cricket's not just a royal, because the big point about that is that they're trying to find a way to break the hive wings free of it, because they believe, or at least Cricket and Blue believe, that if the hive wings actually knew what was going on and had a way to fight back, they would.
Mm-hmm.
And that's debatable, but
I do like this idea, though, that Cricket and Blue are very much on board with the idea of if they can just bring the dragons out of their own ignorance, they could be better.
Yeah, and that's a really uplifting message, because that shows, like, hey, things aren't good, and people are turning a blind eye to it. There's a quote from Cricket that I really liked, where she says that Sundew is opening her eyes in ways she never realized they were closed, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's really good, because, society raises you a certain way, and sometimes you don't question certain things. And this isn't just flat out condemning anyone who doesn't know better as being just as responsible. It's like, well, there are ways in which they might be responsible, but it's only because they don't know, and once they do know, they could help.
Exactly. Well, and this even ties back into Cricket's character arc throughout this book, where she starts off the book talking about how books are her best friend. And this was actually my favorite part of this book, and the part that stuck with me the most is the opening and end of this book, where Cricket is reflecting on the fact that she always admired the heroes in her books to do the right thing even though it was hard. And her having this self-doubt of, well, maybe I can, now that I'm in this adventure, can I be like these heroes I've read about in my books? And her acknowledging the fact that it's so much harder to do that in real life than to say it is, like to say that you would do that in your head.
Yeah, that's really good. And honestly, I'm digging where Sundew is going as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that Sundew and Cricket are great foils to each other, because they're kind of coming from the same but opposite viewpoint.
Yeah.
And I dig how they're kind of like going. I hope that what happens is that they end up kind of meeting in the middle somewhere where Cricket can say, hey, I don't believe that all the Hive Wings are evil. I think that a lot of them are probably fundamentally good. They're just ignorant of the suffering that other tribes are facing because of Queen Wasp and because of what we've done. And I want to help fix it. And I know other ones do too. And Sundew maybe can get to the point of saying, I acknowledge that not all Hive Wings are evil, even though they've done evil things as a group.
Yeah.
And like kind of find that middle ground so that they can work together to solve the problem. And that's really, I think that's what I like the most, is that it's not about getting revenge necessarily. Like the theme overall isn't about like, oh, well, you did this bad thing, so now we're going to do this bad thing. It's this bad thing happened. How do we fix it?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Sundew might turn traitor against the Leafwing.
Oh, man.
Possibly, because
the Leafwings are just as ignorant to the plight of the Hivewing and the Silkwings as the Silkwings and the Hivewings are ignorant to the plight of the Leafwings.
Either ignorant or they just don't care. And that was a really powerful scene in this book that is, again, very subtle and lets you draw your own conclusions, because the Leafwings attack a hive and the other characters bring up, well, the Hivewings can just fly away. The young Silkwings can't. You're going to kill a lot more Silkwings than you're going to kill Hivewings, because Wasp will just mind control them out. Mm-hmm. And also, what about the eggs?
Yeah.
And, you know, when it happens and they're looking at the destruction and they're like, oh no, what about those eggs? And
they're dead.
Yeah. Sundew is like, oh, well, I'm sure that Queen Wasp mind controlled them to get the eggs out. No, she didn't.
Yeah. No.
I guarantee you she did not, because she's not going to have a whole generation of Hivewings that aren't under her control.
Yeah. Those eggs are just dead.
Yeah. Like, the way it's phrased and the way that scene plays out, it's just kind of that uncomfortable silence of, oh, I'm sure they got out of that car crash okay.
It's just like, I don't want to think about this.
And then pan away, like, no, all those babies are dead. The young Silkwings are probably dead. Like, a lot more collateral damage was done to innocent dragons that didn't deserve it than was done to hurt Queen Wasp, who is actually responsible for all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good message, too, because it's like, when you're fighting injustice, you can't become the thing that you're fighting against. And the Leafwings are kind of doing that because, admittedly, they don't really have any other option.
Yeah.
Like, but they are, and the Chrysalis ends up being pretty much useless anyway.
I mean, I kind of figured it would.
Like, they're trying, but they don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to hurt anybody is the thing, and the Leafwings have no problem committing genocide. Mm-hmm. Which is a problem, because then you're just doing the same thing that happened to you to someone else, and that's just going to create now a group of rebel Hivewings later in the future who topple you, and...
Yeah.
No one wins. So, and that's like a really heavy, heavy theme for a children's book to cover, especially with the current political climate. But I'm so glad that they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these books are just... Wings and Fire in general is just so smart and clever with how it ties in its allegories.
Yeah, like, they do a really good job of it in this book, I think. I think this is probably the best they've ever done. Because they've always had very strong anti-racist themes, and they've always had, like, it kind of does take me back to Winter Turning, where it's like, yeah, even as Winter is learning that racism is wrong, it still takes a while to get through that conditioning. It's not as easy as just being like, oh, well, I've made friends with these dragons from this other tribe, and now all the tribes are fine with me. It's not that simple.
Yeah, it's like he still has years of conditioning he needs to work out and break down step by step, and it's something that, like, he may never be fully free of it, but he's trying.
Like, he's always going to have that kind of reflexive prejudice when he sees a dragon that's not an ice wing. Like, he's probably always going to be like, oh, a rain wing, you must be lazy. And then go, wait a minute, I've learned better than this, but he's still going to, like, have that reaction.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of just how psychology do.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, I've always heard it said, and I've only seen it on, like, internet posts, so, dubious source, that, like, the first thought you have is the thought that you were conditioned to have, and then your follow-up is what you really think about something.
That's comforting.
So, like, you might have, like, this reflexive, like, oh, wait, that's different, and I don't like it. And that's just the monkey brain trying to keep you alive. Mm-hmm. And then your human brain goes on top of that and is like, well, wait a minute.
Your galaxy brain comes into play and is like, now hold on.
It's just like, oh yeah, that person over there does look big and scary, but they're not coming toward me. They're not being aggressive toward me. I have no reason to be afraid of this person. Carry on with my day.
Right.
It's
that's
like,
cool.
That's just something that goes on, and I've noticed that a lot because I take walks around my work building a couple times a day because I like to get out and stretch. And there's, it's public, it's a park, so there's people walking around, and sometimes, like, I'll see a homeless man, walking his bike or something like that, and my first instinct is, oh no, is this going to be a confrontation? And then I think, and I'm like, well, he's not paying me any attention. He's just trying to do his thing, go about his day. He's like, not bothering me.
Why would it be?
Yeah, there's no reason to be afraid, and then I'm not anymore.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I still have that instinctive push to be ready for a confrontation, but then when you think about it for more than 5 seconds, it's like, well, is a confrontation probably going to happen here? Probably not.
Yeah. And like, this book deals with that kind of issue all the time.
Yeah, like, it gets brought up constantly. Like, poor Sundu must be having the worst things. I'm so ready to get her perspective.
Me too.
Because with how she's changing and with how you can tell that she wants to like Cricket, but she keeps pushing her away because she's a Hive wing.
Yeah. Well, and I want to open up the next book and have Sundu be like, I can't believe we adopted a fucking baby.
Oh my god, that was just like you want to talk plot twist, that was the biggest plot twist, because she's like, all right, I'm gonna save this egg, and that was a really good scene, going back to your point of, could I be the hero like in these books? When she sees Wasp in the nursery with the eggs and she's injecting them, she's like, I could try to stop her now, but she can't move. Like, she can't do anything because, of course, rationally, she's like, well, if I try to attack her, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Cricket can't fight. I don't even know if Cricket has, like, an ability.
Yeah, it's never been mentioned if she has any, like...
Because her immunity to the mind control is not an ability. I don't even know if she has a stinger.
Yeah. And the Hive Wings vary so much in what their things are, but... Yeah, Cricket's never seemed to say if she has, like, paralyzing toxin or anything.
I love that Scarab's ability is just ripping a massive fart.
It's beautiful. I love it.
I love that it's strong enough that it knocks out the mind control because Wasp can't handle it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh no, God!
She's just like, screw this.
Yeah. No, the entire time, like, Cricket grabs the egg, and I'm just like, oh no.
This isn't gonna end well.
Oh no. We're adopting a baby, aren't we? And it's like, yep. And then the egg hatched. I'm like, well, alright.
But it furthers my ship between Cricket and Blue, so...
Yeah, because Blue's all on board. He's like, oh yay, we have a child.
He's like, look, Wasp, or look, no. It's like, look, Cricket, it's our baby.
It's our baby. And she's like...
I found some fan art of Sundu holding Bumblebee and just with the most expression on her face, and then Bumblebee's like, ah.
The most tired mom face ever.
she's just like, I cannot even.
I love the idea of their little happy family now, of just like Auntie Sundew.
It's beautiful. I still think Swordtail's gonna die.
He just has "I'm gonna die" written all over him. Do you think it's gonna be one of those tragic things where Swordtail and Luna like just miss each other because he's gonna die right before Luna shows back up, or like right when she shows back up?
Yeah, like, Luna's gonna witness his death, and she's gonna be like, alright, we gotta kill all the Hive Wings, and then Blue's gonna be like, wait.
wait, we already learned this lesson.
Because I don't think Luna knows about him and Cricket.
Yeah, not really.
I think that happened while she was in her cocoon, so...
Luna's missed so much.
Like, Luna's just gonna come... She's like the guy coming back with the pizzas. Everything's on fire.
Everything's on fire.
But Luna knows stuff they don't know, too. And, like, that last line...
Oh, okay. We need to talk about that last line. I have it right here, and this is the line that shook me.
Oh, I hear paper shuffling.
This is the line that like shook me. Like, nothing really shocked me too much reading this book, and then I got to the very last line, and I was like, "Oh, damn!" But no. What is it? Luna asked. A vision? Yes, Moon said, her gaze shifting toward the horizon. A vision. Cities burning, dragons hurting one another, more dragons being terrible just because other dragons are different from them, just like all my visions. She stopped for a moment and rubbed her forehead. Does that mean we're going there? You've thought of a way to get to Pantala? Moon shook her head. No. She looked out at Luna's distant home again, and Luna imagined she could almost see the flames and screaming dragons reflected in Moon's dark green eyes. We don't need to, Moon said. They're coming to us. Excuse me, what?
I'm just like, how bad are Tsunami and Turtle gonna mess up?
How are they coming to you? Like,
well, I'm wondering if, like, the Leaf Wings are just gonna be like, oh shit, and just ollie out.
It's just like, you know what? We heard that this other place has trees. We're going there.
And then they just live in the rainforest with the Rain Wings and the Night Wings, and it's fine, and everything doesn't hurt anymore. The end.
And there's too many dragons in the rainforest now.
Well, yeah, but, like, some of them... I mean, at least 2 of them eat plants.
True.
Or, is it... I think Leafwings might photosynthesize, actually.
Oh.
Maybe?
Maybe.
I saw someone talking about that, and I was like, huh, that would be interesting.
If they got at least partially of their,
because
like
they
their
got big
energy
old
from
leaves on their
photosynthesis.
backs, like...
Yeah. It's like, maybe they need to eat, but maybe they can also, like, go longer without eating, so long as they're in the sun.
Yeah, maybe they're just like, ooh, sunlight. And that's it. Possibly. But, yeah, it's... Oh, I really want to know what that's going to be like, because now I'm kind of wondering, like... And this is just a random thought that I had, but I'm like, I'm wondering if, because other dragons have been blown from continent to continent on a storm, I'm wondering if there's going to be another big storm that happens, like when Clearsight arrived.
Oh.
And now that there aren't any trees, there's nothing to protect them.
Oh.
And maybe, like, they're going to get blown over to... Not all of them, but maybe some of them will get blown to Pyrea because there's no protection now from the winds and the storm because there's so few trees.
That could be. My immediate first thought was that it was going to be, it was going to basically be like the dragons who couldn't, learn to accept one another are just going to burn Pantala to the ground, and basically everybody else is going to be moving to Pyrea, and then they're going to have to learn how to work out their differences there. But
possibly.
I don't know. When I read that line, I was like, excuse me? How are we bringing this whole conflict across the continent?
I mean, there don't seem to be that many dragons on Pantala.
No.
There's only 3 tribes. Pantala seems pretty small.
No, but still, it's like how is Queen Wasp gonna go? Like, is she going to hear that there's this other continent and she can actually get to it, and she's just gonna like, all right, Hive Wings, let's roll out, and just like buzz
And then
her
half
way
of them die
across?
because they can't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see where Poison Jungle goes. I'm really excited to see what Tsunami and Turtle are going to do on Pantala.
Yeah.
Like, of the 2 dragons that you could have sent over, that duo is going to be great. Because they're so opposite, and, like, I really want to see them interacting as siblings.
I just imagine the entire time it's Turtle holding on to Tsunami's tail, trying to pull her back as Tsunami just charges forward.
Yep, that's going to be it.
Like, it's just gonna be that the entire time. And I am here for it.
I am excited. Okay, and I know that everyone is going to want us to talk about this, so we might as well. Sundu is definitely gay.
Yeah. I think
Sundu
so.
is rocking some strong lesbian energy, and her whole like, oh yeah, bleh. And then later on there's a female dragon named Willow, and I'm like, ship it, sent it out, arrived in a week, shipped.
Give me my gay package. 'Cause I have that baby shipped.
Like, on the one hand, I was hoping Umber would make a comeback and do anything, because it's been so long since we've had a Mudwing, and I liked Umber. On the other hand, more gay.
Why not? Why not both?
Like, maybe we will get Umber. I doubt it because he hasn't appeared. I thought that she said he was going to come back. I guess maybe they changed their minds or something. But hey, like, you know, I'm always down for having more LGBT characters.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be getting her perspective for the next book, so it'll be the first LGBT point of view character. And I'm really glad that it's a girl, actually, who, like, has a relationship going already.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time for LGBT rep, you mostly see, like, gay men. You don't really see a lot of girls who like girls, especially in children's. At least not with, like, them being in a relationship.
Yeah.
At least not as far as I've found. Like, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just out of touch. But I like it. I'm in for it. Like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I just want Sundu's POV, because I'm really interested in seeing her thoughts on all this, because I feel like she's gonna kind of be like a Winter perspective, where it's like everything she knows about the world is gonna kind of be like, oh, I've got a lot of rethinking to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy, like, she's a perfect follow-up to Cricket. She's a great foil for Cricket. I really want to see how their relationship develops and how they, like, become friends. Please become friends. I just want Blue and Sundu and Cricket to just be friends.
They just
That's
need
all
to
I
be a big happy family.
And I don't care if people are calling it insta-love. I love Cricket and Blue's relationship so much. I love how they just like each other so much.
Yes, and it's
not complicated. It's just, oh, I like you. I like you too. And we're done here. Done.
Yeah, like
Hot sold shipped.
Yeah, there's no love triangle, and don't get me wrong, I love a good love triangle. But it is refreshing and nice just to have 2 characters who mutually like each other, mutually care about each other. And it's like one of the first times it's really happened in this series too. So
yeah, like, you get Peril being like, oh, I must become what Clay will love. And I love that ship, don't get me wrong. But, like, Peril's mental anguish over it and Clay just being kind of oblivious is not the same dynamic. Glory being tsundere to Deathbringer is not the same dynamic. Mm-hmm. Winter and Keebly agonizing over Moon is not the same dynamic. This is just very puppy love, and I enjoy it. Like, that's my favorite kind of relationship to read about, is just this very sweet, very, oh, yeah, we like each other, and there's, like, some other things getting in the way of them being together.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, too, is you have the added anguish of them, of society trying to push them apart, and I'm like, yes.
But, like, all their issues are society. It's not like the, oh, I love you, but we can't. Because they're like, well, I like you, and people are not going to like that, but fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, like, we don't talk about background ships much because there usually aren't that many, but I really like, and I can't remember their names now, but the one member of the Chrysalis and the guard. They're so cute. Like, they're doing something. They need to get in somewhere. And they're with the Chrysalis, and I cannot remember her name. I want to say it starts with a C or something. I don't even remember who the dragons are. I'm sure that everyone in the comments will shout their names at me. But, like, there's this one member of the Chrysalis who, like, has this thing going with a Hive-wing guard, and she's like, oh, like, he's guarding wherever they need to be. I think he's the guy and she's the girl. Could be the other way around. Don't know. But, like, whatever, the Hive-wing is guarding wherever they need to go, and the Silkwing's like, oh, I'll go talk to them, and then everyone else is like, don't be obvious about this.
I forget about
and
this
then immediately when the Hive-wing sees them, like, the face just lights up. oh, I opened right to it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'll talk to him, Tao stepped forward, brushing past Cricket in the dim hallway. Is that a good idea, Cinnabar asked, with the queen so close. I am Lady Jewel's chief steward, Tao said austerely, and he is her treasurer. Okay, I was wrong, not a guard, treasurer. Okay. We're allowed to have an ordinary, everyday conversation. Cinnabar quirked an eyebrow at her. I promise we won't be obvious, Tao said in her normal voice. Really, Cinnabar. You're obvious every time you even look at each other, Cinnabar grumbled. Just get away from him as quick if his eyes go white. Tao shuddered. I always do. And then it says later on...
Okay, yeah, I'm remembering this a bit more now. They are really cute.
Yeah, he turned to look up as Tao approached, and Cricket saw what Cinnabar meant. His whole face lit up as though he'd just discovered sunshine.
Oh.
By the Hive, Cinnabar muttered. They're terrible at this. He's a Hive-wing, Cricket whispered, and she's a Silkwing. Yup, said Cinnabar. Extra very forbidden. It's a problem, and we all know it, even Lady Jewel, but no one can do anything about it. Seeing the two dragons laughing, their wings brushing accidentally, Cricket knew she wouldn't have been able to do anything about it either. Even if she were their queen, she'd never be able to separate two dragons who looked so happy together. Alright, stop being cute and get him out of there, Cinnabar grumbled. I'm like, I love them. I love them so much.
I want them to be happy.
I want them to be together. I want... it's so... Because we've gone now from Pyria, or Pyria, however you say it, where inter-tribe relationships are looked down upon but aren't forbidden, to somewhere where they actually are forbidden.
Yeah.
And you can't stop it. You can't stop love. It just doesn't work that way.
True love.
And I'm like, is this kind of a... Well... I don't know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a metaphor for LGBT relationships, because mixed race relationships are also looked down upon still. So, like, there have been states that even as recently as the 2010s have tried to pass laws outlawing or making interracial marriages harder. So, yeah.
Why?
That was a fun research project in college.
Joy.
So, I mean, given that Wings of Fire has more of a take on race, I don't necessarily think that that's... I think if they wanted to do the homophobia angle, just do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, I don't think Wings of Fire needs to beat around the bush about it.
Yeah, but it's still related. It's still telling two people in love that they can't be together for very arbitrary reasons. So, I love them. I love all the ships in this arc so far. I love Luna and Swordtail, and I'm just waiting for that pain because that's too good to last.
You're just like, Swordtail just has "I'm gonna die" written all over his chest. And he hasn't kicked the bucket yet somehow.
Soon to be Dead Tail.
Soon to be Dead Tail.
Like, every time he appears in the book, I just think of the Fourth Apprentice video you did for Moon. With the River Clan cat.
Just dead dragon standing.
Yeah, like, that's what I see every time. And if he makes it through this arc, I will be legitimately impressed.
Yeah, same. It's like, if he's still alive...
him or Luna is going down. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, it's like, if he's still alive by the last book, I'm gonna be, like, side-eyeing him so hard, just like, really? Really, boy? Are you gonna make it?
Through sheer determination.
I don't know what it is about him that is just so kill-offable, but...
He's confident, which is not something you see often in these characters.
True. He doesn't have a whole lot of, like, personality flaws to get over.
Like, he's definitely not going to get a perspective. Like, I'm thinking we'll get one from Sundew, maybe one from Luna, like, if they're going to do repeats of the tribe, or maybe we'll get, like, depending on what happens in Poison Jungle, maybe we'll get a Pyrea perspective again.
Yeah, I have no idea where the series is going to go after the third book. Like, just zero ideas.
Like, we're gonna see Pyrea and Pantala interact, and that could go 100 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them bad.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that might be everything I had to say. I loved the themes of this book. I love the characters. I really think that this is a huge improvement over Lost Continent. Like, all of my concerns about that are gone. And as someone pointed out after the last video, they actually have always been releasing 2 books a year.
Oh, really?
It's just that because I get paperback, it feels like it's 1 a year for me because it's only 1 paperback release a year, I think.
Okay, well that's
it's like
good
it takes
to know.
a long time for these books to come out in paperback, so it's not like they're speeding up the production schedule. It's always been this way.
Okay.
So we shouldn't see a drop in quality due to that, and I think that Hive Queen definitely proved that there has not been a drop in quality in this series, that it's still delivering those great messages and these great characters and plot twists that managed to catch me off guard at least. Like, some people are like, oh, it's really predictable, and I'm like, maybe their brains just operate differently than mine, because some of the things that I think are predictable, other people think are great twists, so maybe it's just a difference of opinion, but
yeah,
I'm digging it. I'm hyped for Poison Jungle. I'm ready. Like, let's do it. Let's all books right now. Let's go. Give them to me.
Just gimme more books, Sutherland. I need them.
But yeah, like, if you weren't going to teach Darkstalker as a class, I would, if this weren't the second book of an arc and not really able to stand alone, I would definitely want to teach this one as like in a sensitivity class or something, where it's like, okay, you know, like learning how to understand your own perspective and how you've been raised to view things and how you can be open to other ideas without completely sacrificing everything that you've ever known, or, you know, without just having to do a 180. Like, you can still care about your people and acknowledge that they've done bad things.
Wings of Fire is just so good.
It's so good. Everyone should be reading Wings of Fire. I love it. It's just so... It has so many good messages.
They're so... The books are written so well and so naturally. Like, these are books that are just so easy to just fall into because they're just... The characters come off so natural, the world building is done so well, and then on top of that, it's got really smart things to say with that with those characters and with that world building.
Yeah, and like, they don't necessarily villainize everybody. Like, there's definitely villains. There are definitely people doing awful things for awful reasons who are awful.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't automatically jump to everyone's like that, or, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy it, but it also does point out this book especially, when Cricket talks to Katydid about it, and she's like, yeah, all this horrible stuff is going on, we need to stop it. And Katydid's like, well, we're safer if we don't, though.
Yeah.
And Cricket is like, how can you say that? Like, her life has been directly impacted by this bullshit, and she's still so afraid of stepping outside the status quo and doing anything about it that...
Yeah.
It's like, she's not a terrible person, but she's making a terrible choice.
One last thing before we go, because I think we're pretty much done here.
Pretty close, yeah.
But we finally got confirmation that hive wings buzz.
People were saying in the last video that they buzz, and I didn't see it.
I didn't either, but apparently that's what people said, so I'll take their word for it, and thank you, because that has been keeping me up at night.
Has it been bugging you?
It has been bugging me. It's been buzzing around in my mind. But yes,
terrible.
I am glad I finally have a visualization of how these dragons fly. I still want confirmation on how silkwings fly.
I just want someone to describe them as being a graceful flutter.
I don't want to imagine them flying like butterflies, because that just sounds awful.
I mean, butterflies fly like they don't know how to fly, but
exactly.
It would be hilarious.
Well, and then I'm trying to imagine, it's like, how did Cricket and Blue fly next to each other? And I'm just like, that's gotta be, like, the most awkward.
I kind of love that, though, because, like, imagine they're like, oh no, we gotta get out of here. And then, like, Swordtail's going one way, Blue's looping around the other way. You know, the phrase herding butterflies.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Luna's the only one going straight.
So, yeah, Sundu's just like,
Sundu just kind of, like, twists and twirls because she's just a leaf on the wind.
she doesn't fly. She just opens up her wings and the wind picks her up and she just goes.
And she's like, all right, out. And then just opens.
Peace. Oh, man.
It was good, though. It was a great book.
Looking forward to the next book.
I also got the Barnes & Noble exclusive because of last time.
Oh, yeah.
And this time it doesn't have a pretty picture on the inside. It just has a map. And, yeah.
The Barnes & Noble exclusives vary in goodness.
Like, I hate that Barnes & Noble exclusive content exists, but also I'm trying to support bookstores instead of Amazon.
Yeah.
Because last time I did it on Amazon because it was easy, and I'm like, well, that's kind of hypocritical of me. So I'm trying to only get books through bookstores and not on Amazon, if I can at all help it.
Yeah, I just prefer going to a bookstore, and like I always have, so it was fairly easy for me. But, and yeah, now that there is this Barnes & Noble exclusive content, I'm like, well, I mean, I'll just stick to what I know.
Yeah. Gosh, I really am just still mad about the Thunder and Shadow Barnes & Noble exclusive content.
That was a big mistake.
I don't think it's in the paperback version.
Oh, really? It's only in the hardback?
I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I don't have it.
Oh, man. Okay.
I got it from Barnes & Noble, so...
Warriors Community needs to... And I would love to head this project, but I don't know when I would have time. But Warriors Community needs to fix this and make like an animated version of like those 2 chapters or whatever. Do a map call for the Barnes & Noble exclusive part of Thunder and Shadow because it's such a vital part of Vision of Shadows.
You don't even have to do a map call. Just someone read it and someone do like a couple images.
Yeah. Just like a little PMV.
No, maybe I will, if I have it, but who knows? But what the Warriors community really needs is a podcast.
Oh! Yes. Yes, please.
More on that later.
Yes! Yes! Alright, well, I think that's as good a place of any as to end this off.
Yeah, I think we said everything, so... Everyone who's been waiting like 2 months for this, I hope that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Please stop blowing up my messages.
Let Avalon be on the internet in peace. 2019.
Like, I see you and I appreciate that you're excited for it, but you asking me when it's coming, you saying please release it, doesn't get it done any faster, guys. Like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I have a job, I'm writing books, I have other reviews. Tennelle has animation, Tennelle has a job, Tennelle's doing a bunch of stuff, Tennelle does too much stuff, but we love it, so we sweep that under the rug. But
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
it's as much as I appreciate that you're interested, please. Please. It will be up eventually.
Yeah, don't worry. Avalon and I are into Wings of Fire for the long run, and we will be reviewing these books for a long time to come.
And someday we'll do the graphic novels and the novellas.
Yes. Someday.
But
Until next
please.
time. Until next time, whenever we get to the next thing we get to, we're signing off, and thank you all so much for watching.
See you next time, eventually.